Welcome to Remarkable Old Photos. The Petersburg, Virginia, courthouse in 1865 stood near the front lines during the final days of the Civil War. It survived the city's evacuation fires that destroyed much of downtown. The Knickerbocker Trust Building and Waldorf Astoria Hotel stood side by side on Fifth Avenue in 1904, with the hotel once serving 20,000 meals in a single day during its peak. Linda Carter, who competed in Miss World 1972, later became famous as Wonder Woman and was the first Miss World USA to win the Miss World title. Hori Pukuhika carves wood with a toki at the 1906 New Zealand International Exhibition. Such exhibitions showcased Maori artistry to global audiences for the first time. Main Street in Richmond, Virginia, circa 1905, shows a bustling urban center with electric streetcars and early 20th century architecture. The city was once the capital of the Confederacy during the American Civil War. Early automobiles lined Nantasket Beach in Massachusetts, circa 1925. The beach was a popular trolley destination, drawing over 100,000 visitors annually during the early 20th century. Irene Ryan, best known as Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies in 1963, was actually only 15 years older than her on-screen son, Buddy Ebsen. Dock conveyors in New Orleans circa 1906 streamlined cargo handling along the Mississippi River. These early mechanical systems could move up to 1,000 tons of goods per day. George Harrison in Paris in June 1965 at Palais des Sports, where the Beatles played to a frenzied crowd during their only French tour stop. The concert marked the first time a rock band performed at the venue. The 1914 city post office near Union Station, now the National Postal Museum, once processed millions of letters by hand. Workers sorted mail on conveyor belts powered by foot pedals. A clay jar seller stands outside Guanajuato around 1900, with another vendor behind him using a single donkey for transport. Donkey caravans were common in Mexican trade until the 1930s. At the 1962 International Toy Fair, Gottfried Kirk Christensen, director of Lego and son of its founder, demonstrated the toy on a table. He later secured the patent for the modern Lego brick design in 1961. John Dillinger, a notorious bank robber, was escorted from a sheriff's office in the early 1930s. He once escaped jail using a wooden gun carved from soap. Tower Bridge at Dawn in 1928, opened in 1894, appears modern next to the 11th century Tower of London just upstream. It was originally designed to be painted chocolate brown. Francine Larimore, a French-born stage and screen star in New York circa 1921, was also celebrated for her dramatic readings of literature. She once performed at the Library of Congress by special invitation. Mothers and children ride a trolley to Coney Island in 1913 on a fresh air home trip sponsored by the New York Association for Improving the Condition of the Poor. The program gave urban families week-long seaside vacations to combat city health risks. A Black American family lives in a trailer at Glen L. Martin Trailer Village, a 1943 Farm Security Administration project in Middle River, Maryland, built to house wartime workers during World War II. Airmail is unloaded in Omaha, Nebraska, on July 1, 1924, as the U.S. Postal Service expanded air routes across the country. This was just 5 years after the first U.S. airmail service began in 1918. The Mackinac Bridge, linking Michigan's peninsulas, was built in 1957 and remains one of the world's longest suspension bridges. A man sits with a donkey in his lap during the 1910s, a quirky snapshot of rural life when draft animals were essential on farms. Donkeys can live into their 40s, often outlasting horses. Charging a Cuyahoga electric car in 1910 was rare, as most cars then were steam or gasoline powered. Fewer than 1,000 electric vehicles were on U.S. roads that year. In the 1920s, Overland promoted its cars with daring stunts like jumping a fallen bridge to stand out in a crowded market. Overland was one of the first American automakers to use stunt driving as advertising. Newspaper vendors in Mexico City sell the day's headlines in 1977, a time when print media dominated public information. The iconic newspaper El Universal had been in circulation since 1916. Carondelet Street in New Orleans, 1905, bustled with streetcars and early jazz culture. The city had the first American opera house, opening in 1796. The electrical department of American Steel and Wire Company in Fairfield, Alabama, in 1931. This facility was part of U.S. Steel's first fully integrated steel mill in the South. Fish Market at Mulberry and Bayard Streets on Manhattan's Lower East Side, 1929, thrived as a hub for Italian and Jewish immigrants. The area had over 200 pushcart markets by the 1920s to serve its dense immigrant population. A country doctor travels by horse-drawn sleigh to treat patients in rural 1890s America, when medical knowledge was limited and most doctors made house calls. Horse-drawn sleighs were common winter transport for rural physicians in northern states. Boston's Tremont Street and the Mall, in 1923, showcased one of America's first public parks, with the Boston Common established in 1634. The Occidental Hotel in Washington, D.C., circa 1920, features Gus Buchholz inside its elegant interior. The hotel once hosted President Theodore Roosevelt during a late-night political meeting. A melon vendor in Samarkand, Uzbekistan, between 1905 and 1915, displays his wares in a bustling market near the ancient Silk Road. Samarkand had been a major trade hub for over 1,000 years. A Black American peanut vendor sells his goods on a Delaware street in 1910. Peanuts were once called groundnuts and were popularized by George Washington Carver. A bustling grocery store in Greensboro, Georgia, in 1939 featured aisles stocked with goods and customers browsing under a tin ceiling. During this era, many rural southern stores operated on a cash and carry basis as the Great Depression's effects lingered. Sculpture by Henri de Miller in Paris, 1900. Little is known about Miller, as he was a lesser-known artist working during a time when Art Nouveau was transforming French sculpture. An old oyster stand in New York City, 1898, served fresh oysters for a penny each, when they were a staple street food. A 1926 jacquard loom from Kisker in Bielefeld revolutionized damask weaving with automated pattern control, using punched cards. This technology inspired early computer programming concepts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy historical photos like this, consider subscribing for more.